delay, but now we're finally in Eamonn versus Armani, New Zealand versus the Netherlands. And now we see the stats coming in. 48% win rate. Kinda expected more there, but we see 49% on Armani's side. So I think we're in for a pretty close matchup here. Armani definitely pretty low percentage in precision, but anything else you want to mention here?
Yeah, it's looking very even, I would say. Even though we have a faster guess time on Armani's side and a slightly higher win rate, the precision is there on Eamonn's side though. And if he gets that precision too in the right round...
33 points and 21 matches on both!
Look at that! I mean, can it get even more even than this matchup here?
Don't think so.
Them both right on top of each other in the leaderboard and with the same stats. Eamonn really taking his time there before he starts moving. Also something that's underrated, I would say, on some rounds, to really just take your 1 or 2 seconds to look around and then start moving. Because most of the time you get those clues nearby and you kind of miss them a lot of times by just moving out of your spawn. So that's definitely an approach that can help sometimes. Yep. Also thinking about in which direction to go, which makes more sense here and there, especially like in a round like this. You try to rather move downwards the hill rather than upwards, because usually you get to a main road down the road with more information. But we are about to hit the time limit.
We have two completely different guesses.
That's interesting.
And it is Spain, yes. Armani.
See, that's exactly what I meant. You take those extra seconds in the start, look around and get that vibe, and that's what Eamonn did. Whereas Armani moved out immediately and didn't even think about the country first.
Well, he will definitely know the country here. It is his home country of the Netherlands. Maybe he knows the town here, but yeah, as you said, Armani instantly moved, and the only thing he really did, like with 2 seconds left, was look at the ground, and he saw a double white line, and that is pretty common in Greece, so that is what this case is based off. But yeah, that didn't really pay off.
Yep, that is correct. We had some Greece clues there with the double white lines, but overall, as I said, Eamonn just took more time on getting the country right. And let's see what's happening here. Shouldn't be many points done in a small country like the Netherlands, but still. Always fun to be right.
Yeah, seems like Armani hasn't heard of these towns, or maybe he found it now.
Yep, they're both in the somewhat same area. Armani a bit more north of the river. Eamonn on the southern side of the river was slightly north of it. Armani getting very close. They're only 540 meters off.
Yeah, I think he's still disappointed from the round one because, you know, the 16 points in that round don't really make up for the 3.6k points he lost in the first round. And not only did he lose points, I feel like you also lose a bit of confidence in your ability, because missing the country in a moving game is something that shouldn't happen, but it happens, you know. You're just locked in, trying to find information, but you don't find it. It happens.
Yeah, especially in a moving format, it's also way harder to get back from that disadvantage health-wise, because, as you said, most of the times the players will be in the right country at least. So there's not much room to pull off those multis on your side.
Yeah, and you can't really insta-send anymore, because one bad guess here and it's just lights out for Armani. So now he really has to think, do I want to risk anything by insta-guessing on these rounds? I mean, a round like this, honestly, you could send a guess in.
Yeah, definitely. If you look along the roads on both sides and don't see any signs nearby, there's a good chance. But look at this, Armani found a sign, he has a mile marker there, whereas Eamonn this time didn't move again. Lined up the road. Let's see, Armani is scanning for that road number he just found there.
Yeah, it's a pretty long road, and Eamonn not only getting the road, but very close on the road as well. It's going to be another 800 points down. And as I said, there's not much room for Armani for error here. He needs something, and I'm not sure what, if I'm quite honest.
Yeah, I feel like in a urban Russia round, maybe, where you don't have any information nearby, it's always a round that you like to see if you are behind, because a lot of towns just look similar, but can be 2,000 kilometers off each other, so that's something.
What about urban
A
US?
non-distinct US round in the plains somewhere can also help you out for sure. However, we have a shield there.
Yeah, he found Highway 2.
Number.
Meanwhile, Eamonn found a sign for Fort Benton. And he found US 87. So both of them have a highway number at least.
Yep, they do. Armani also known
It says Montana,
to be
so
pretty good at the US.
both of them in the right state though, it
I
seems.
still don't see the town on their maps. There's Fort Benton. It's right northeast of Great Falls.
There it is.
It's pretty big, I would say. It's findable, definitely. Fort
Yeah, that could have been even more points for Armani if he gets down to the city there.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the information with the town names. He only had the highway number and nothing else.
That is true.
As we move into round 6, seems like Azar. Any
in
other
South
clues?
Africa, indeed, getting a vibe here is quite difficult. Some green hills, tents, yeah, leads you more towards the south usually.
Insta-guess by Eamonn. Doesn't want to move
That's
around, is
interesting.
confident enough. Yeah,
Maybe he wants, or he has a strong vibe.
very different
because
guesses here.
as you see, it's very different guesses. So will Eamonn get punished? No, he won't. He is on it. He knew it's down there, and that is gonna be game. Armani may be happy to be through this game. I feel like he wasn't that locked in anymore after that first round.
Yeah, the first round can really throw you off, and you know, Eamonn with confidence, just guessing on that on the Brazil round and also this round, really just 2 rounds where he didn't need to move for information really because he was confident enough in his guess that he was like, okay, I'm just gonna send it. What could go wrong?
That is right, and we go over to no move. Which Armani definitely prefers, but is still not his favorite game mode. His favorite game mode is NMPZ.
And would you look at this? We have a famous car here. We have the National Park car for Australia. It is one of the West Australia parks, but I'm not sure which one.
It is this one they are looking at with this peninsula. You have those cross rifts on it. I mean, you see it on a couple National Park cars, but with these looks and those rifts. Also an area I mapped. I mapped this area not too long ago, therefore I do remember this car. It's going along the road, but both players do know it. They are on it. And
And
it's
it is
further
the other
south.
one. That's what the other one I was thinking about,
I
because they
actually
do
thought
have the
they are
same
on-
car.
I thought they are on the peninsula. I
They
thought
went on a
were south
different
of
one,
Taiwan.
yes.
Okay.
I was thinking about the other one as well, but I think the car's in both.
I did not
Who
pay
knows?
attention.
But we are back in Australia, it
They
seems.
started.
And now the question
pretty
is, do you know
hilly.
Taz or not?
Especially with this gravel road, darkish soil, hills. Tasmania definitely is something you would consider.
The
Of
car
course, you
seems
are
wrong though,
always
right?
Looking for...
No.
It is.
That is Armani picking up big points here.
It is
Eamonn, lucky that
almost
is only
half
round 2. In any other round that could have been game, if not even more. I mean, what's more than game? Maybe getting flawless.
I guess, but with this mountain range, I feel like we are either in Banff, the National Park Banff, or in the Jasper National Park. Which both kind of look similar. And we have a split here, I guess. Eamonn is tending more towards the side of Jasper, whereas Armani is more towards the Banff side.
And it is the right road for
Just-
Armani again.
North of Jasper, both valid guesses, but Armani is slightly closer. Building up his lead a little bit more, and we are in Nigeria. A pretty good clue is this police car following you throughout the whole country. Not always this car. It's different escort cars.
Yeah, this is
and
pretty
if
hard.
it's So looking lush green mountainous, you usually consider the eastern side of the country. However, I don't have the strong clue for that here.
The problem is, there's a lot of green coverage near Osogbo as well. That is where Armani is. It's really a 50-50 usually between those two areas, as you mentioned, far east, like southeast, and also near Osogbo. Usually Osogbo is just very, very lush, even more lush than this, but...
I don't know if you would get these mountains in Osogbo, though. I feel like
can be
that's
mountainous
more
near it, at
likely
least.
to be in the east, but yeah, definitely possible to have a little bit of terrain going on in Osogbo as well.
And none of them is going east, so...
I would agree with that 50-50, and I think Eamonn does cover both with his click, going between that, and it is right outside Osogbo. Eamonn may be happy to not commit that far east and hedging towards Osogbo to not lose too many points.
Yeah, and Armani, completely different than the moving matchup. Now he's really in his element and is playing flawlessly pretty much. Great guesses all around, even region guessing Nigeria there. And is this a Cambo? Because we do have a Cambo palm.
Correct. Yeah, I would say it looks
Oh.
kind of like Cambodia. We have a mix between India and Cambodia on their guesses, though.
The road makes
I
me think
feel like
Cambo.
this looks more like Cambodia, yes. Doesn't look like the average Indian road. Also, these fences do feel more Cambodian rather than Indian. Especially these concrete supports for the fences. And look
Whoa.
at that. Armani's right on it. Not only getting the right country, but also 15 kilometers of the exact location, which pulls him through to the NMPZ game in this matchup, Eamonn versus Armani.
I mean, what a match, really. Both of them fumbling one of their games. Armani, the moving game, and Eamonn, not very good in the no-move game here. I mean, to be fair, Armani was on it pretty much every single time this game. And now the question is, who will be on top in NMPZ game? I mean, it is Armani's specialty, but is he locked in?
We also know that the NMPZ map for the World League isn't easy by any means. They are really testing those players with these locations. So we have seen a lot of continent toss-ups. We have seen plenty of country toss-ups. I wouldn't be surprised to see that here again on this location, looking very generic. You don't really have a lot to work with. Usually you are looking at signs, which can lead you towards some countries. You are looking at electricity poles, which could rule in or rule out some countries. Here, however, you don't have anything. And
Armani getting France there. I did not really think France that much. I kind of liked the Poland guess when he instantly zoomed into it. I was like, yeah, makes sense. Pretty bad road quality, and these trees could make sense, but especially with the field not being fenced off or anything, I was like, okay, that fits for Poland, but Armani getting it right, and now just sending how he wants. I almost thought we're... Okay, never mind.
did you think Ceuta?
Yeah,
Or-
it seemed very south, but
Yeah,
don't
it
know how
looks-
south this is.
Was my first vibe as well, but with the building in the back. Hey,
That is pretty far south, I would say.
Ceuta would have been a very close guess.
To be fair, yeah, you would be on the wrong continent, but does it really matter if you're that close
No,
geographically?
Probably, what, 70, 80 kilometers from there?
Would have
Something
been
like that.
quite the guess. And banana
We go
plants.
over. Not much to work with. The road looks very narrow, which makes me like the Malaysia guess. In Asia, you usually have a bit more narrower roads.
Yeah,
The vibe for me was also Yucatan. However, the road doesn't really feel Mexican, does it?
I don't know what to think here. We definitely see something happening here. And it's gonna be Indonesia, I think.
Indonesia? Or it is Borneo, at least.
It's not enough to win the game, though. That is the most important fact here. Eamonn getting the right continent here, maybe the right country. We can't really see it because we cannot zoom in. But that's a big hit towards Armani, and now... I mean, anything is really still possible, but... Now he needs to be on it.
Armani did try to put the pressure on to build up his lead even more. But Eamonn striking back there.
And now we get a split
Now
again. Sumatra,
Are
Kalimantan.
in Indonesia, pretty big country, especially on 2.5x, with only 600 health left. This could mean that Eamonn could get a win through. And
it is
he
Kalimantan.
will win on this guess, getting Kalimantan right there. Wow, what a game.
I mean, what a game. It was maybe back-to-back Kalimantan rounds. I'm not sure. I would like to see what the location actually was. It was Gen 3, so... Well, I mean, Sarawak these days also has Gen 4, so what am I even saying? But yeah, great win by Eamonn there. Had a bit of a... You know, a bit of a bad game in no move,